Well, good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. Time for us to take note. Weeks back, I promised that I'd bring this gentleman back because the conversation had gotten too juicy. And as much as we had been talking to Ugandan writers, I think this one was slightly different. Why? Because he never really aimed to end up in writing. He never liked to read. In fact, his motivation was money. He just wanted to make money, have money, be rich. And for some reason, the opportunity was in writing, and that's how he got there. I have Oscar Ranzo. Good morning.
Good morning, Flavia.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
This morning, I was just going back to our interview, and I actually laughed watching it because you would have never guessed. Most cases, writers come here on the show and they tell us how they began, and their story is the same. From one writer to the other. My parents used to give me books. I used to find books. I used to like reading. Yours was totally different, yeah? And I think just to recap, help me if I miss out any parts. You just wanted to make money. You were a hustler. Initially. And you found an advert which they were saying you could write, is it, and then earn some money.
Exactly.
And the money part interested you, so you said, I shall force myself to learn how to do this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the interesting part of your story is that when eventually you got into writing, you wanted people to proofread your work.
Exactly, yes.
And give you feedback. Let's just start there, just to recap for people. Where did you go to get that feedback?
So I found this place. It's called the Backpackers Hostel in Ginger. My friend got a job there.
Does it still exist?
Yes, it's still there. Okay. It's called Patrick. And he got a job there. So I went to check on him one day. And while we were having a conversation, a group of tourists came in. It was a big group, like 20. And I looked at them and I was like, these are the people I'm looking for. One, they didn't know me. Okay. Two, tourists love to read. And three, they would give me honest feedback. So because
they didn't know you, so they don't have a reason to lie.
And they love to read. They always have a book. So and also they're very friendly people. So I started to spend so much time in this place. It became my hangout, and I befriended so many people in that place. And like I told you before, in that place, I found the person who helped me edit my work and refine it. I found the person who nominated me to go to the International Writing Workshop at the University of Iowa. I found the person who eventually published my work. Yes. I found the person who ended up becoming my lawyer. I found
even your lawyer?
Yes, the legal advisor. I found the person who gave me my first big job. So I did find so many people, and over 20, maybe 30 people that helped me. One thing they have in common, they are all women.
Whoa.
All of them.
All these opportunities that you've been talking about.
I think everyone that has played a role in my writing
is a woman.
Is a woman, by coincidence.
Oh, okay. So I thought just you aimed for it.
No. It's by coincidence. Everything, the Ladybird deal, everything that for some reasons, I think the writing world is dominated. It may be something, is a world where the loss of women, all there's the woman revolution happening in the world, and people just need to pay attention. So.
That's odd because is it Professor Kanyana who was telling me that there's not that many, there's women who are writing, but there's more men in Ugandan sphere of writing. So that's odd that women actually gave you that chance. So that's when from there, you got someone who helped you get published.
Yes.
I'm wondering if at this time, had your interest peaked in writing? Did you know which direction, what you wanted to write about? Because I know you got published for children's stories. Why did you end up in children's stories?
So I had found, I think I stumbled onto this opportunity. I mean, money attracted me to it, but I later found that I had the aptitude for it, and I had the interest and passion for it. So in the end, it stopped being a thing about money,
and it became a passion.
Something of a passion. It became a passion of mine, and because if it had been money, entirely money, I think I would have given up.
Does it take long?
It takes long.
You know, it's the writer's dream.
It takes
Does
long.
it take long between me having an idea, writing, and then getting published?
It takes long.
Wow.
It's very hard work. You need to be perseverant. You need to be persistent. You need to have.
Wow.
You need to be ready to face a lot of rejection. So if it's just money,
you give up.
After 2 years, you'll give up.
What, 2 years?
Yes.
My friend, I thought just months.
You give up. So it stopped being about that. So I actually then started realizing that one day we had a problem in Uganda, a lack of literature content local in Uganda, and somebody needed to address that. And also, I realized when you talk to people that I'm going to write, everyone tells you, but no, we don't have a reading culture.
So what are you writing
why
for?
are you writing? Who is going to read your? Who is going to read your books?
Yeah.
But
That is still a valid question till
But
today.
my
Oscar.
mentality is my mentality has always been. It's not. I don't lament about things. I try to create a solution.
Yeah.
So that's when I got the idea of starting to create content that people would read. So I would tell people, you know what? If we don't have a reading culture, let's create a reading culture, and then people read our content. Then I give people the example of the Christians.
Okay.
At some point, they came to Uganda, to Africa. We didn't read, but then they brought the Bible.
The Bible,
They taught
yes.
us to read. And how many Christians are we? We are several. So I said we are going to create a reading culture in Uganda, so that then we have people who will buy
Who
our
buy
books.
the books.
Yes.
And is that why you're starting with the young ones?
Yes, the best was start with children, because Abaganda bagamba kacha mamamera. So if somebody is grown up, it will be
You can't
difficult
change
to
much.
them, to start reading.
That's true.
But if we start with young people, then we can create a generation of people who love to read.
Who love to read.
And then buy our content. So that's why I decided to start focusing
Children's
with
books.
children.
Tell me, because I'm not sure if I remember you telling me a bit about your research with especially children. Did you interact with children much to know who you're writing for?
Yes, I told you I got a job at the Malmay Center.
Yes.
And it gave me an opportunity to interact with children and observe them, because I also did research on what it takes to write good children's literature. So one, they told me you have to observe them, but also you have to read a lot of children's literature.
Children's books, yes.
So then I first went in the bookshops in Uganda and tried to find the children's literature in Uganda.
Were you looking for? Oh, okay. You were
written by
children
Ugandans
literature written
for
by
Ugandans.
Ugandans. Okay.
And what I realized that there was nothing. There were some books, but they were all about HIV, HIV and scary books. So I looked at
I'm
them.
told at some point there was funding
Yes,
for that.
that was the reason. So
That's why they wrote.
there was like everyone just
Yes.
so there was like so many books about HIV, and I was like, this is scary. I mean, there can't be only books about HIV for children.
That's not the only thing we have to teach our
Yes.
children about.
So then I saw there was a scarcity of content. So, and then I started thinking, we cannot say, at least for children, we cannot say they don't want to read without providing them content. Let's make the content.
Okay.
If they don't read it, then we say they don't want to read. But first, let's make
You
good.
try.
Yes, let's make good quality, educational and entertaining content. Another thing I saw about the books in Uganda, they were not attractive for children. They were just like haphazardly done. The illustrations look not attractive.
Because we think,
typos.
Oscar, we think children don't want much.
Like
Just draw whatever you can draw and they'll be happy.
That's the mistake. People don't
Okay.
think that children are attracted to really good stuff. So the books were carelessly written, they had typos in them, the illustrations are just like that. So there's no way that somebody will have to read a book like that. When you look at the books from abroad, they are colorful, they are attractive.
There's attention
they
to
have
detail.
Beautiful, yes. So we had, then I said that we had to create something like that. And that's how I decided to start creating content that was top quality, it had high literary standards, and very good pictures. And then
you were published, was it UNICEF?
the first book was UNICEF.
The first book was UNICEF.
Luckily, yes.
What was that deal? UNICEF was paying you to write a book, or you had already written a book and they're saying, let's buy the book?
I had written the book. Remember, there was that time when I was saying, when I took my celibacy vow, and I was very productive. So I wrote a lot.
By the way, Oscar drastically took a celibacy vow to not be in a relationship at all until you did what? Until you got published.
So that was a very productive time for me because I just was so focused.
This took long, right?
Yes, it took some years. So I was very focused though, and I created a lot of content. And among those were around 10 children's stories and 10 other stories. So when I was showing the lady some of my stories, the one who published it, I had it. I just had it at home. I just brought it and I gave it to her, and then she looked at it and she really liked the story. And so we designed a program around it, and then we showed it to several organizations, and then UNICEF picked interest because child sacrifice was rampant.
Oh, that was the content, child sacrifice.
Yes, it was rampant, and the story touched on the issue. You know? So they invited us and asked us to make a budget, and then they gave us money.
Oh, so when you say us, it wasn't just you negotiating?
It was me and the lady.
And the lady?
Yes.
Did she do a lot more of the negotiating?
Yes. She did a lot of more.
Why?
She did most of the negotiating because, well, she was the one who was, her organization, Lively Minds, was the one who was publishing the book.
Okay, so she would understand how it works.
Yes.
How do you then, because I think I need to ask that. In instances when you're getting published, even if you have her on the side here helping you to negotiate, how do you figure out this is how much money I'm worth?
Now, for this is it's interesting because at that time it had ceased being about the money. Now, for that deal, because she had a charity, yeah, and we were doing this, we were going to give out the books for free. So all the money that UNICEF gave us, which was around $10,000 went into
$10,000 US. What year is this?
2011.
Okay.
2011. So all the money that they gave us went into one, paying for the books, for the production of the books, and then also giving them out for free. Now, for me, I got the job of coordinating the distribution. The product, the production and distribution. Okay. The whole program. I was the coordinator, so I was being paid a salary. So and I thought this was a good deal for me. One, they were buying all my books, and then two, they were giving me a job, the job of promoting my book in schools, like I'm taking it out.
Because you know your story, you're the one who wrote
so I'll be the one reading it. And we had a team around us. It was a big team because we went to around 100 schools.
In Uganda?
In eastern Uganda, and some in Kampala as well. Wow. So luckily, that's how my first book. I got lucky because all the copies were bought, and then when they ran out, we wrote UNICEF again, and they say, okay, you get more of that. So it ended up being around 4,000 copies. Oh wow! Yeah, so all of them were used up.
So you write, you take a vow of celibacy and say, I need to concentrate until I get published. Then you get published,
yes, and
then you have to go through schools giving this book out. Yes. So you've said it's no longer about money at that point. You just want to get your work out.
Yes,
you just want Oscar Ranzo on a book somewhere.
Yes.
You're someone who had talked about feedback. You liked feedback. You wanted people to read and tell you what they feel. Yes. So you get published in the children, who are your biggest target market, get these books. What do they think about it at that time?
That's one of the most powerful things that I witnessed, because I would go to schools, like rural schools, we would read the story and the impact it had on the children. That was the best feedback I ever got. And I said, okay, this works. And then we would discuss the story, and then we would read. And then discuss the story, then have a conversation about child sacrifice and all this, and how they and how the story had helped them to understand this issue, and it was very good. And also it got me realized, because in every school we went to, the children would come back and ask for another story. We want more. So then that's when I realized that there was a hunger for local stories that were well written, well illustrated in the country, and that's when I got the idea that, you know what, I'm on the right track.
This is what I'm supposed to do.
I need to produce more stories. So when this project ended, UNICEF, they lost their support stopped there after around.
It was a project for them.
It's a project for them, and you know, with projects, once it ends, they you give them a report. They say we liked it, but we do not have any more funds. But I had already got the connections. I had got experience about how to design books. I got knowledge about how the market would respond to children's stories. Yes. So I was ready to start the Oasis Book Project at that time.
Okay.
So that's when I got the idea of setting up a project that would make children's stories available, affordable, and then make them widely read by Ugandan children and adults.
That's the Oasis Book Project is actually your business, your core business, which then has all these books.
Yes.
At the time, were you hoping that this Oasis Book Project churns out as many books from you? Were you hoping to someday grow it with other writers? What was the dream at the time?
The dream was to set up an outlet, because I did a lot of research, and I realized that most publishers in Uganda are not interested in publishing fiction because it wouldn't make them money. Yeah?
Okay.
So they wanted to publish textbooks.
yes.
So many writers of fiction, people actually abandon.
They don't want stories.
They don't even want to, like even writers don't, people have lost interest in writing because they don't know, there's no outlet for their work. So I decided that I would create a social enterprise which would bring together writers and help us make as much children content available as could be consumed in the country.
We're saying you're writing to educate and entertain, which is what you stressed last time. Yes. Is that very key for children's books?
Yes, it's very important because you know children have a very small, very short attention span, and in order to get their attention, you have to make books
entertaining
and also education. But they cannot just be about it cannot just be about education.
It can't just be education. It can't just be entertainment.
Yeah, because if it's entertainment alone, then children would. There's lots of things that you can use a story to teach children, and you know that's what our grandparents used to tell us. These folk tales is about our grandparents passing on lessons to us using story, or Jesus using parables to pass on key lessons. So stories are very powerful tools to pass on, to educate any group of people. So I realized that we had to make the stories educational and entertaining. Now, the stories that we had on the market were educational without being entertaining. So they end up being preachy. So
they're not doing as very well.
They end up being preachy, and children don't like that. No one likes to be talked about. Don't do this, don't do that. Yes. So find a way of making a story
fun.
Yes. I'll give you an example. This story,
Jomo's Car.
Jomo's Car. This is one of the most popular stories in Uganda at the moment.
Jomo is the character that Oscar uses to write, because there's many in the Jomo series.
Yes.
So in this particular one, you're telling me?
This is a story. It's an alphabet story.
Alphabet?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But I could have been fooled. I thought Jomo's Car.
So but
and just before you explain that to us, Jomo's Car, the front, the cover of the book has, you know how we used to make car. Okay, I think this is you who did these things. And then you put in the two sticks and
then you roll.
Yes. So this is brilliant. So you're saying this is
that's Jomo's Car. That's an alphabet story. But the way, because for a story to be captivating or grab the attention of children, it has to have 4 P's.
Okay.
The first P, it has to have a protagonist, and that's the main character, who is Jomo in this case. Yeah. The second P is that the protagonist must have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. And in this case, Jomo here has a problem that his car loses control on a steep slope.
Yes.
Then the third P is the plot.
Okay.
And that's the way the things that happen in the story from beginning to end. And what happens in this story is that things start appearing in alphabetical order. As he rolls down,
tries to stop the tire,
starts meeting things in alphabetical order.
So he meets an apple on the. So he loses control, keeps going. He meets a banana, so that's B for banana. You go like that. C for carrot. He meets a duck, which is D. Oh, this is brilliant.
Yes, and that's the third P. So and then the fourth P is the premise, which is the theme, which in this case is the alphabet. So the child is reading about this guy who's trying to stop his tire, but he's actually learning about the alphabet. So
he's following Jomo while he's stopping the tire, but also meeting things with Jomo and learning the alphabet. That there's a banana peel. B, banana.
Yes.
You know, and the C, this and
carrot, and then all the way up to Z.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting story, because when I share it with kids, I just stop at D and I say, "What's the story about?" And they eventually figure out maybe it's about the alphabet, and I say, okay.
Because they've been engrossed into the book, they don't realize.
And I say, what will happen next? What will he meet next? Because I stop at D. Then they start staring,
giving
maybe an egg. Then I say, how will the story stop? And they say, he will go to the zoo. Maybe he will...
with a Z.
So
this is fun.
The child has to think, how will it stop? But eventually, so that's how a story can be educating
and entertaining. This is brilliant. This is probably, and I think just as you, if you don't know, we put these segments and interviews online on YouTube. So in case you feel this is too quick, it has gone by quickly, you can always go back and watch this because it's very valuable. If you get these books as well, I like that his books are very Ugandan. At the end of the book, and
yes.
I don't know if it happens for each of the books,
yes,
it does happen
yes.
for each of the books. Since we're not able to go through each of them, I'll just let you know. It says say it right. Then, for example, this theme is the alphabet. So he writes A to Z, but then he also writes how you'd pronounce it.
Yes,
the way you and I are used to XC for X. So this is brilliant. So make sure your children at least get this. You said they can find your material. You have a website, you said?
I have a website, but I also have a team of
gorillas,
gorillas,
yes,
who take
distribute.
The books around, who distribute the books around. But nowadays, because the books are getting a lot of popularity, and many schools are actually starting to use them or recommend them.
So some schools have them.
Several schools, like out of nowhere, they just put it on their recommendations
That's
list,
good.
and then,
That's good.
Then maybe bookshops call me and say, "Hey, do you have this?"
Let's
book?
stock it up.
Yes,
but for now, if somebody's watching, they can use the website.
Get in touch with us, and then we shall assign someone to come to.
Yeah, I think that's is it Oasis?
The Oasis.
Yeah, so the website,
the
oasisbookproject.org. Please go back to this interview and go to the website. Make sure you find this is the Jomo series, which also teach you different things. Jomo's card, Jomo's gift, yes. Jomo's uniform. So make sure your children, and it's holiday season, Oscar.
Holiday season, yeah.
So this is perfect timing, eh?
For children.
For children.
For children to reduce screen time and increase book time.
Oh,
yes.
Trust him with the quotes. Yeah. Decrease screen time, increase
book time. We have a screen time problem in Uganda.
That's definitely. Oscar, thank you for always making time for the show. Yes. It's good to have you. Please go and support Ugandan writers. Buy his books. The kids are back on holiday. Educate them and entertain them as they read, and find Jomo's uniform. It's oasisbookproject.org for any more information. That's it for Morning at 10 TV. Have a good day.
Thank you.